Ziplining across a vast valley, roasting s'mores beside the lake, whitewater rafting, relaxing beside an ocean view pool. Well, trying to at least. There are lots of great things to dream about doing in South Carolina, so when you're ready to visit, South Carolina is ready to make those dreams a reality. From a classic road trip to a relaxing weekend getaway, South Carolina is open for discovery. Start planning today at discoversouthcarolina.com.
Southern California is synonymous with driving. And since you can expect to put a lot of miles on your car each day, MPGs matter. So Toyota offers a full line of fuel-efficient hybrid cars. Leading the way is, of course, the groundbreaking Prius. But Toyota doesn't stop there. Their hybrid lineup also includes the reliable Camry hybrid, the sporty RAV4 hybrid, and the spacious Highlander hybrid, which means less time at the gas station and more thought to the environment. Visit buyatoyota.com to learn more. Your Southern California Toyota dealers make it easy. Toyota, let's go places.
Hi, folks. Welcome to another episode of Film Study. This is Ken McKusick. Here tonight to talk about the Ravens offense in the game against the Jaguars. Plenty of it, and a 40-14 win. Joined today by Gordon McGuiness of PFF. Gordon, how you doing? Great to have you on again, my friend, and always refer to PFF in positive terms in terms of people getting a subscription to that. Want to make sure that people know it's still out there. I know they've had some specials recently. Can you tell me about what pricing is like at PFF for various packages? Okay, and the elite system is excellent. Is one level higher as the team system where they get the play-by-play grading, but it's just the game-by-game grading that you give out with the elite system. All right. And does the team grading have more information about the individuals cannot buy the team grading, I assume, right? Even if they want to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to have it done, probably. But the team grading includes a lot more detail at the play level. Okay. So I was always wondering, some of the times we hear about a player getting fairly deep into the hole, like Bradley Bozeman was at the beginning of last year, let's say, and I would want to see, well, how did he do from week 7 on an aggregate basis? Because he really had his last bad game in week 6, and you could presumably get that at the team level. Is there a way to get that at the elite level? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. You use control like you would in Excel or something? It's not. I don't know where I would have to do it. So I'm inside his week. I have his weekly grades up. By position. Okay. And then we'll go to defensive reports for linebackers. All right. And then let's see, what else do I got here? So I've got Queen in here, but it doesn't. I have minimum snaps draft year, 32 teams, weeks. There you go. Okay. Sure. Okay, well, you taught me something new there. That's terrific. Okay, that's fun to see. Well, I want to get back to the Jags game here since we're there, and wonderful lopsided win, very much the 2019 formula. Got up big. They played good defense, I thought, with the lead, and got some things done on the pass rush in the second half, even when they were not scheming up as much rush. We're here to talk about the offense, but I thought, formula wise, that was an interesting thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like it too. I mean, I like to watch teams run the football effectively, and there's a tremendous amount of scheme that goes with that. I really love the team blocking that the Ravens do. They get much more blocking from their wide receivers than most teams get. Miles Boykin is a guy who gets beat on pretty badly, but he's been a terrific blocker through all of the receiving difficulties. Yeah, very much that level 2, level 3 block. I want to talk a little bit about more about scheme later, but let's get through some of the more normal stuff. And the first thing I want to ask you about, because it's all we Ravens fans care about, is what's the Ravens' most reasonable path to the playoffs? It seems like there are a lot of opportunities and a lot of things that can go slip right through their fingers in terms of other teams giving them help. That's correct. That's correct. Which they won't. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a very fair assessment. Is they might be the second best team in the conference. Cleveland is a little bit of a funny situation. They're just into positive points now, or are they still negative? I think they're +6 or something now for the year. And the Ravens are plus 116, which is better than the Steelers. It's better, in fact, than anyone in the entire NFL, with the exception of the Chiefs. But we don't play for a point differential. We play for wins. and sadly, the Ravens, within a 7-team year, could be an 11-5 team out of the playoffs. And it has happened once in a 6-team year with the 2008 Patriots, but I don't believe it's otherwise happened. Blame yourself. Enormously unbalanced conference results, with in large part with the NFC East playing so poorly. But maybe that's where the Ravens need to kick themselves a little bit, because they certainly did beat the entire NFC East so far, unless they lose to the Giants. But that was an advantage that was built in for them. And so the 11-5 record is really like a 7-5 record against non-NFC East teams, if you want to think of it that way. Yeah. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Hey guys, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I got to tell you about MyBookie, because this countdown to Christmas this week, they are giving away free stuff every single day. Today when I hopped on, it was a free $10 bet on anything I wanted to bet on. So hop on. Whenever you're listening to this, head on over to MyBookie, sign up, deposit. Remember, if you use the code RAVENS, they will match you halfway. So if you put in $200, they're going to give you an extra $100 to play with, and that's on top of this daily countdown to Christmas that they're doing. So treat yourself to some extra cash in your pocket this holiday season by investing in your intuition. Hop on board with the Ravens this week if you want to take a favorite. There's also some great close games going on, like the Colts and Steelers game this weekend. So make sure whatever you're doing over on MyBookie, you use the code RAVENS when you deposit.
This holiday at T-Mobile, it's not about how far apart we are. It's about how close we can be. So we're bringing out our best deal. Right now, get the iPhone 12 on us on every single plan with eligible iPhone trade-in.
Cool. So I can FaceTime with my sister in Savannah.
That's right. The iPhone 12 on us on every plan on America's largest 5G network. It's time to holiday on with T-Mobile.
With 30 monthly bill credits plus tax. If you cancel credit, stop and balance on required finance agreement may be due. Contact us for well-qualified buyers. Qualifying consumer plan required. See coverage and offer details at T-Mobile.com.
Who are you texting?
My therapist.
You text with your therapist?
Text, video chat, call. Yep.
That sounds too easy. How did you find her?
I just went to betterhelp.com/save. She's a licensed therapist and it's all online. I connect when it's convenient for me and don't waste time driving anywhere. Plus, it's affordable.
I wonder if I should try it.
It's great to talk to someone in confidence. She's helped me sort out quite a few things. And right now you save 10% off the first month when you go through betterhelp.com/save.
Betterhelp.com/save. Got it.
All right, thanks, Josh, for that. Offensive line scoring. Let's get to that. I know that's always an interesting topic. I talk a little bit about the aggregate results, because obviously it was an effective day for the offensive line in a lot of ways. 62 scored snaps. That doesn't include the 2 kneels at the end. There were no sacks charged to the offensive line. That single sack, to me, was a Jackson holding the ball too long in the pocket. That's the way you guys had it scored too? Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the more common Jackson sack that I look at it is he turns a pass play into a run play himself and then takes a 1 or 2 yard loss or even a 0, and that ends up being a sack. And you don't charge it to an offensive lineman at that point. You might have charged a pressure for the pocket getting flushed, but you don't end up charging the hit or the sack for that. And so that's the way I've got it too, with five pressures as well in this game on 27 dropbacks. That's okay. It's maybe a little bit high. Ample time and space, the 3-second pocket, was outrageously good in this game. At 56% of the dropbacks, I know you guys use a 2.5-second standard. We don't want to talk methodology too much on this, but that's a tremendous number of 3-second pockets for one game. Yes. By the way, the time to throw stat, there's probably an easy way to fix it, is just to throw out the 2 outliers on either end when calculating that average. And then you get rid of the one time he held the ball for 9 seconds, that increases his average time by 0.14 seconds for the whole game, kind of thing. Yeah. All right. Anyway, no runs for loss were charged the offensive line as I had it. I think they might have had a run for loss on a stretch. No, one illegal blindside block was the only penalty. That was a horrendous play for Patrick McCary that we'll get to in a minute when we talk about him. Orlando Brown, I thought he had an okay game against K'Lavon Chaisson, who's really been struggling. Pretty good chance of that, I'd say. And we really always knew that would happen, that you can't afford to pay both offensive tackles typically on most teams. You're going to be paying your quarterback, you can't. So it doesn't really come as a surprise. Some of the strategy around what they do this offseason in terms of, do they trade him, or do they try and make an effort maybe to sign him early, and maybe with a COVID year try and work out a deal that is attractive to both sides and gives him financial security. I don't know what his personal financial situation is like, but he comes from a football family and a father who made some money, so that may not really be the kind of concern for him that it is for another player. You and I talked last year a little bit about him playing on the right side with the read option pistol being such the bread and butter for the Ravens. And Lamar usually, facing the handoff to the right side allowed Stanley to make a lot of very easy down blocks and not have to block a guy in more space on that right side. Did I say I meant Orlando to make a lot of easy down blocks if I didn't say that correctly. But anyway, and then he would move to level 2. And it didn't even really have to be that much for him, because he really only had to move up kind of half a level to hit that scraping linebacker, as opposed to really find somebody in space in level 2, which a guard often has to do. So there was definitely a whole different degree of difficulty last year. What's been really impressive this year is his ability to deal with his own limitations in terms of doing some pass blocking on the left side and kind of prove a little bit of that versatility. And I'm with you. I think he's a 65th, 70th percentile offensive lineman who is good, but not the best in the league. And I think in a lot of ways the Ravens need to be very careful about how they deal with him contractually. Yeah. You know, the Ravens have proven themselves to be excellent at finding mid-round talent for the right tackle position, and specifically, I'm going back to Ryan Wagner. You know, they had other people like Yanda is frankly a mid-round talent. Brown himself was a third-round pick that dropped due to combine limitations. So, you know, lot to hope for still. And you know, he's a Baltimorean, so maybe he hangs on here. And I would certainly love to see him play his career here, but I have a feeling, with other players like Mark Andrews and others who really are so central to the offensive success, I really question whether they can get it done. I want to talk a little bit about Brown in this game. 1.5 pressures, 1 quarterback hit as I scored it. He was the only one to get a quarterback hit in this game. He flushed the pocket forward. It was a tough charge. He could have gotten just a pressure on that. He did have 3 missed blocks and made 6 of 8 pulls. Now, I don't know how you guys score this, and I don't want to get, again, too much into methodology, but when they're running this counter, he has a difficult pull job because Bozeman, the puller ahead of him, has the easy block to make. He just has to find the first man, and he's proven to be very good at that. Brown has to find a second guy. That often means going into level 2 to find that man, and it can be very challenging for him to do so, particularly when the run is going the other way. Mm-hmm. Right. The more common thing I'm seeing from Brown is running into open space in level 2 because there just isn't anyone to block at that point. The flow of the play is going the other way. All right, going on, Bozeman. He certainly finished up last year very strong. He's had a little bit of an up and down year this year, but I actually think he's been pretty good. 1.5 pressures in this game, 6 missed blocks. He made 12 of 13 on pulls. He really drives the power run game. He's connecting on a very high percentage of these pulls, and that's something I really love about his game. The other thing we don't really give him enough credit for is he's had some difficult 3-tech matchups. Cam Hayward is a good one recently, but then also when he goes to the other side and pulling, he often has to block T.J. Watt. So he gets a mixed bag of difficulty there that he often has to pick up a very good wily rush end on some of his pulling opportunities. He's one of several short arm players on the Ravens interior line. And I've heard it said by people inside the Ravens organization that he was on the ground too much. People accuse me of being too enamored with long-armed linemen, but that's one of the things you really notice is the shed action verb shows up in all the time in my notes for the guys with 31 and 31.5-inch arms, but you move out to the guys who are longer, and they get beat in other ways, don't get me wrong, but it's much rarer that they truly get shed because you get shed generally by longer-armed players getting you off balance and taking you to the ground quickly. Mm-hmm. Beat the system. Beat the tread. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Marshall Yanda. All right, Patrick McCary, another short arm guy at center, was having a really good game, I thought, until the play that kind of made it not so. Bad snap, recovered by Huntley, and then Huntley made a nice run on the play for positive yardage, and I forget if it was 5-6 yards because, hey, it didn't hold up. But then he made an illegal blindside block that was not only unhelpful to the play, you know, it's a situation where he just has to know the rules better and understand that he can't make a block in that situation. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you. And he played certainly 2 good games in a row after some significantly mediocrity leading up to those games, honestly. Yeah, the where I draw the line in terms of overrating McCary is to say, based on a half of play against New England, that he could be the right tackle whenever the Ravens need him to be. I mean, that to me is just it's a way overstatement of his powers. And going on to powers with that segue, no penalties again, which has been the big bugaboo for Powers this year. It's pretty much the way he's been downgraded as I've scored him. He did have a half a pressure in this game, 2 missed blocks. We talk about the short arm thing versus the long arm thing. Powers is in the middle. He's one of the only linemen who's in the middle for the Ravens. And he has a much better time keeping his feet than the other linemen. Just if you watch them play after play, you notice McCary and Bozeman are on the ground a lot more than Powers is. But very happy with his play the last few games. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the Ravens in the last few weeks, one of the things that's turned the offense around is they've found their starting 5 now. It's no longer an issue. So I know we agree on this. I see you nodding your head, but there's no doubt about Brown is probably would be one of the worst losses if they lost him because they just have nobody to replace him at this point. There's certainly Bozeman is driving the run game. McCary is the guy at center, and there's really nobody who's competing with him directly. Could Ben Bredesen be a guy next year? Maybe. Who knows? Could Skura come back and do as good a job? Maybe. Who knows? At right guard, I think Powers is clearly the guy. I don't think he's at all threatened right now. And Harbaugh's made some statements that would make it difficult for him to back off Powers at right guard now, saying he's playing the best football of his life. And then at right tackle, they kind of had a process of elimination game going on where they continue to rotate play with Phillips and Fluker, and Phillips is kind of limboed under Fluker's level of play, and probably needs to be reconsidered for an interior line position next year. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. I agree completely, and it's very much goes back to the Orlando Brown comments about last year, is that the position is easier to play with Lamar if they're playing a lot of their offensive stylistic components, a lot of their scheme that they do now, and it's a fairly easy down block for Fluker. He's a very strong player. He can really help Powers with that down block in terms of making his block an easy get off his pins after that. And it does not require tremendous mobility that Fluker really would be challenged by to get into level 2. Now, that said, Fluker's made a lot of level 2 blocks these last few weeks. I've been really impressed with an increased level of mobility. I also would say that his 12-6 blocking, meaning his ability to take the edge defender around the edge of the pocket like as a clock and take him to 6 p.m., 6 a.m., either 6 o'clock, has really been enough to get by. And it hasn't been against zeros in terms of pass rushers. I thought it's actually been, pretty good. He's played a game and a half of absolutely horrific football this year. And then the rest of his play, right tackle, actually, I think has been pretty good. All righty. Phillips, 8 scored snaps, and yet he somehow has the play that I can't help but watch 10 straight times whenever it comes up. How about you? How many times do you estimate you've watched that play? Mm-hmm. Angrier into the run. So they had the next gen stats, and we were always seeing these top speed things, which I don't really put a lot of stock in, but they got him at a 13 miles an hour top speed on that run. But then when you figure that out on a momentum basis, it's more scary, and you understand what happened to Miles Jack on the play, and he really got bombed. So anyway, it was fun to watch. Matt Skura, taking a supporting role at this point. Interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens to him in his career. 7 of 8, 8 of 9. I had him scored for, and I've missed a play from Skura last week. So I need to go back to the old 22 and still do my follow-up offensive line work. But that's I'm not sure if he played 8 or 9 snaps. It's good that he's there. The Ravens have very real depth on the offensive line at this point. I think either Phillips or Skura or both could take over an interior position. They just have no depth at tackle. Yes. Yes, the Colts. Yeah. And it was so predictable. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I will tell you, you probably have evidence this from your own work, but you definitely get evidence that the players are watching what you're writing about them. And I got tweets from Casey Holden talking about, thanks for the grade. Like this is the Patrick Mahomes rate or something. Like it's thanks for the grade against the Patriots, I think it was, where he played a half. Maybe it was Tennessee, whichever game it was. He played a half. He played pretty well. He had one penalty that was really bad. He had another penalty that maybe you could call it on him, but it was really on Andrews on the other side. But I graded him an A on the game. And you hear from his wife about this. And then the nice thing about it is she also told me that he'd been picked up by the Colts. So I heard first on that one. And it was kind of cool. Apparently they did try and work something out, and they just were not able to come up with a deal. I think they would have probably had to sign him for next year as well if they were going to do it. So, I don't know if that would have made sense or not, but it seems like, NFL tackle depth is so difficult. Why not? I mean, you do all kinds of futures contracts with players. Why not? I mean, it would involve some guaranteed money for 2021, but yeah. All right. If they lost Brown at this point, how do you think they'd align? Mm-hmm. Terribly. Yeah. Okay, and not use Phillips there. Yeah. Okay. All right, fair enough. Let's move on. Talk a little bit about Lamar, because it's certainly exciting what's been happening the last 3 games. After that early interception, I looked on his passer rating. I saw 133, and I'm going, how did that happen? I didn't even think you could do that with an interception, but it turns out, and this is really an interesting thing about the passer rating formula, when you dissect it a little bit, he still got half the points from the passer rating there for component for interceptions, which means almost interception rate of almost 5% can still get you half of the passer rating points for interception. It's just an interesting subplot of the formula. Obviously, it's not graded well for current interceptions level. It's not separating men from boys in the way it should. Yeah, 39.6. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Two things I kind of want to unpack in that. The first is that Lamar has clearly been playing with some sort of an injury. It may be a lingering groin, whatever. But I had this discussion with other people on the show, and lateral movement is impacted. There's no doubt about it. And that's part of the reason why they're not running as much from the pistol. They're running a lot of sidecar and letting the back be the edge threat and Lamar being an up the middle threat, which normally I would be very opposed to because of the additional risk I think that entails to not have the sideline as your friend. But it's something where I think they've made an accommodation for what's going on with Lamar's groin, and it's just it is what it is. And right now the Ravens, they cannot afford to coddle Lamar Jackson these last 2-6 football games in whatever level. They need him to perform every week. Mm-hmm. It might be 6 and 12. Yeah, he doesn't. He's done a good job of not taking hits on the legs. And I looked at all the hits from last year that he took, both quarterback hits and runs, and a high percentage of them, like 47%, were with just minimal contact, and those included out of bounds plays and other plays where he slid down. Only a couple of those. But the big hits he took were on quarterback hits, and that's very hard to avoid for any quarterback. So it's the one time when you're in a very compromised position, and the quarterback hit, the direction of the quarterback hit can be at a significant angle in the opposite direction. Where most of the time, as you stated, when he's running the football, he knows exactly what he's doing about getting hit, usually by one guy, usually on the torso. You don't want to be hit legs, you don't want to be hit head. Usually on the torso, and taken to the ground in a convenient manner for him. Mm-hmm. Yes. The other thing was the sacks is that a lot of those he's already turned it into a run play. And even when he hasn't, even when he's in the pocket and he has to go down, he still is making some choices about how to accept that contact. It's really the quarterback hits that are the scary ones, that are the ones that usually can entail some really difficult contact. I want to also go back to the other thing, which is Lamar's ability to run around, how that'll affect his game. We have a Coach Evans on the show from time to time. You may know him, and he has some great words of wisdom for us all the time. But the thing I really loved about him was when Lamar loses his speed, he's going to become Russell Wilson. Is what he said. Is that he's still going to be quick. He won't have the same kind of outrageous cutting ability, and the speed won't be at the level it's at. But he'll be very elusive still in the pocket, and he'll still be a guy who can extend a play. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger can extend a play. You can do it with physicality, or you can do it with some speed. And he should still be able to make plays from the pocket. And the thing I really love this year is how successful Jackson has maintained his ability to throw under pressure. We saw that mostly in Week 1 against the Browns. Very few extensive pockets, but he had a 152 quarterback rating in that game, 152 and change, I think, and he was just under a lot of pressure. And I don't know how PFF had it scored for that week, but I'd be interested to hear. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, the 4th and 5 play is 100% that. That was an extended roll right, and he had all the time in the world. In fact, he manipulated those two defenders, Vernon and Mitchell, I guess it was, to come towards him on the play, and then he just made an easy pitch and catch toss. We've seen others this year, but there have also been duress ones, and a lot of the duress comes when he rolls left, because no right-handed quarterback likes to roll left. It's a horrible thing, horrible place to be. And he had the touchdown pass to Andrews when he rolled left on just an unbelievable throw. He's had a number of throws, particularly thinking back to that Cleveland game, where he made a great throw that way. But there's others. I agree with you on the 4th and 5 play is probably the best example, but he's had 2 touchdown passes where he basically baited defenders on a roll right to come up and allow a tight end to be released for a touchdown. And I love that kind of thing where he's manipulating the defenders on the edge. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he had some runs left in that game, didn't he? Escaped the pocket in that direction. Vernon, I thought, did a reasonably good job on him until the big play, until the 4th and 5. But yeah, I think you're right about that. Anyway, great stuff about Jackson. He still seems to have some trust issues with some receivers. And I looked at the throw he made to Andrews. Between the numbers and the left hash, put up among about 4 defenders. Andrews high-pointed the ball. There's no way he has the trust to throw that to Miles Boykin. There's no way. Same receivers or same route opportunity, he'd have never thrown it. Mm-hmm. Right. I'm in agreement with that. I do want to see Jackson do one thing better in terms of throwing to Brown. And I come back to the large receiver thing in a moment, is that I want to see him out-throw the defender in a way that is clear rather than worrying about where Brown will be. Because Brown can get to almost anything. But if you out-throw the defender by the proper amount, Brown can get there and make a play after the catch. And I don't think he's done enough of that. The ball's either coming out late, and I think if he was more focused on how to beat the defender, that it would result in better things. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Cardinals game. Yep. Titans game. Yep. Yeah, those were certainly both great throws, and the throws he made against Miami. The first one was one of the rare RPOs of the year where he actually went into the mesh point, pulled it out, and then made the throw, which was just, you wonder, why did they ever go away from that? There has to be a reason, but why? And the other one was a bomb where he outthrew the defender, and it's one of the few times where he's really in his whole career that he's caught Hollywood Brown in stride and gave him a chance to make a big play after the catch. So, I wish that he would do more of that. I'm sorry about that. Okay, and it happens from time to time. I forget to put the phone in the other room. Anyway, accurate for the most part in this game. Bad decision on the early interception. Fortunately, Judon bailed him out with the safety right away. But I don't think we'd be upset at all if Lamar played like this every week. For the game? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Okay, so let's talk about that methodology for a second, because I know that really interests Baltimore fans. I get a lot of questions about it, and I understand the splash plays versus the good plays, but let's talk Lamar Jackson's game first of all. So if he has, where is the balance point for the grade? Is it 60 or 65? Where if he is above that, he is contributing to an aggregation of positives on the play? Okay, so I can understand that as a mathematician. The problem is that with Queen, I'm having trouble understanding how which of his games are contributing to him being below the replacement level by so much, because he clearly has had some terrible games, but he also hasn't had any zeros or any tens or anything like. You sometimes see a zero from an offensive lineman on PFF. Yeah. Mm-hmm. 85. Yeah. Kansas City, he was terrible, but sure. Mm-hmm. Right. So, the upgrade in the level of play is good, and it's in a little way it's a microcosm of what happened last year at LSU, because he didn't really start the season well, and you could probably do some Power 5 grading too, and definitely had a significant upward trajectory as the year went on in terms of his own quality of play. It'd be great to see this again at the pro level. He's certainly an athlete that gives you a lot of. What's really nice about him fitting into the Ravens offense is I think he gives you tremendous cleanup skills in your defense. I mean, cleanup sacks, he's already had a couple, one on Burrow, one this week, that were really great. He has definitely some great cleanup pursuit skills that get you out of trouble. What's just the problem is he did not seem to, until recent weeks, get his zone coverage responsibilities down. So week after week, they're just getting botched. So you do some of the grading for the Ravens specifically, right? Okay. Oh, well, good for you. You don't want to feel like you're biased or whatever, or have anyone insinuate that anyway. But that's great to hear. You've got that as a new opportunity, and good to know. I had a question I was going to ask you. Oh, I know what it was. So, thinking back to the early days of PFF, and I knew Neil way back then. We were in talks way back then, but the +2 to -2 grading system by halves still underlies the PFF system that is then converted to these 0 to 100 scales. So the question I would have is this: I think it would be a lot more explainable on the aggregate +2 to -2 score level to see why Queen is still -14 or whatever he is for the year. At the way the grade levels were done, but you kind of lost that with the desire to put that behind the Oz's curtain, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think. By the way, I think the actual bonus grading that occurs when you're over average for a period of time, that makes perfect sense to me. But what would make even more sense is just knowing what the underlying numbers were, so it would be graded back to the thing. Anyway, I wonder what the theory was behind that when they changed systems. I understand you want to keep some of that behind the curtain, and you're probably selling some of it to the teams. But if would at the elite package level say, wouldn't it be okay to give out that actual grading again and show it? Or maybe if it's out there at the elite level, then everybody knows it anyway because people blab. I just don't know what the problem be. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it wasn't a marketing or dollars concern to keep that grading level secret or something else. It was just a inconsistency of grades between two systems. All right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. All right. Look, it's just cool to kind of get a look behind the curtain. I appreciate you explaining some of this to us. Any other skill position players you'd like to talk about? We've talked about a few of them in this game, but let's alternate here. And who would you like to talk about that we haven't so far? Mm-hmm. Yes. Right. They did have there was a long pass interference play on Andrews, but I can't remember if that would have taken them off over 100 yards. Yeah, it was 36 yards on Wingard, so that would have taken Andrews to 102 too, had that been a complete. Oh, actually, but probably more than that. I did get a tweet here from a friend of mine, says they used the pony backfield 3 times in the game in this. Interesting. So it's something we've seen a little bit of from the Ravens last year. They didn't actually run a single snap of pony during last year's regular season, but it's a maybe another concession to what's going on with Lamar, and also maybe another concession to the fact they no longer have 3 tight ends they can put on the field. So they have to find some additional ways to scheme up different ways to attack the defense. Yeah, we certainly saw it in that Cowboys game, and these 3 games. I mean, they've scored 121 points. That will do it. That's that's really it. The defense can play pretty much at any level if the offense is scoring like that. The defense can play with the lead, and a lot of the things you talked about earlier. It just becomes a lot easier to play football with the lead. Right. I agree, and one of the things we've seen from a lot of the great teams from recent years, be that Denver when Manning was there, Indianapolis with Manning, New England with Brady, Mahomes certainly now is the case. They're all absolutely marvelous at bridging the first and second half to try and get back-to-back 2 turns in a row, so to speak, where they would get a couple of drives. He's mastered the 2-minute drill, and part of that is just he seems to be better when he's under a little bit of duress or is made to not think about what's going on in a different way. And then the third quarter, the Ravens often have come out strong as well. That back-to-back kind of strategy, I think, is one of the things we've seen from a lot of the great teams in recent years. And if Lamar can continue to build on what he's done successfully there, it'd be great. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, it certainly changes what they thought they were going to have to do going into halftime. So you may get even an adjustment value out of it that's positive. You probably did make adjustments yourself to figure out how to re-script at the beginning of the half. I've often been I don't know if the word is quite critical, because Duvernay is now MIA from the offense these last few weeks, and I really would have liked to seen him continue to be included if they can make it work. But they were getting him a lot of scripted throws. They got Boykin some scripted throws as well. Now it seems like the scripting that they do is not as much about that, but it's more about scoring a lot of points and winning the game, as opposed to trying to figure out how to get the other team worried about multiple weapons. I mean, in a lot of ways, last year in terms of football, it's an overstatement, but it's not too far off that. I mean, they're a historic offense. They're like the Harlem Globetrotters. Just go out there and play the way you want to play. Don't worry about the way they say you ought to play, and you'll be good. But anyway, positive. I am a little sad about Duvernay not being part of the offense. I'm probably even more sad that Des Bryant is part of the offense, because I don't really think he's providing the Ravens with anything they couldn't get from other receivers. I was happy to see him make a couple good run blocks in this last game, because other than that, he really has not provided much as a receiver, certainly since he came here. Mm-hmm. It was a unusual play, because Lamar is very good at making a throwing lane with his feet inside the red zone. It's the central reason for his enormous success is that he doesn't have any fade routes, basically. I think they threw one to Hollywood Brown this year, and I was like, it's the first one they've run in 2 years here. But with Dez, he's being a size receiver isn't the thing that's going to make him valuable in the end zone. It would be being a wily receiver, and I do think players like Duvernay, players like all the tight ends that the Ravens have had also brought that. Like Boyle, he had a touchdown earlier this year. He had the touchdown last year against Buffalo that was on that kind of a shot put throw. You know what I'm talking about? That he bobbled it a couple times going down. They don't need to create fade opportunities for receivers. They don't even really use zipper throws very much, but when they do, it's Andrews. It's all about Lamar basically maneuvering until, oh, wait, there's a straight line between me and this guy. I'll throw the ball. Anyway, let me ask you one more thing. Chris Moore or Des Bryant, who should be active this next week, assuming that's a choice they have to make? Okay. Des Bryant now 3.9 yards per target for this year. He's got a 50% catch rate, which exactly matches his last 3 seasons at Dallas. So that's probably over expectation. I'm having trouble finding a reason to keep this guy around. I know they say he's been good and being, teaching other receivers and whatnot. That's one thing. 35, 32 snaps per game, whatever they've been giving him, for a couple of his big weeks, just seems like really overdoing it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, or even into the snaps. I mean, Snead provides a lot as the motion player and what he can contribute to a level 2 or 3 block on a run play. And I know Dez has done a little bit, but there's so much more that a player like Snead can give you than a player like Bryant in terms of snap count. Whoever you think deserves more snaps on the Ravens right now at receiver, they're probably giving up some to Dez Bryant. And Boykin. Yeah, those 3 up there, they're losing ground. All right. Well, Gordon, we appreciate having you on tomorrow. I'm going to have to set the mailbag aside since we've gone over by a fair amount, but we really appreciate you taking the extra time. Always such a pleasure to have a conversation with you. Glad to hear about your new opportunity at PFF. Tell us about folks where they can find you on Twitter and where else people can contact you. Okay, very cool. Any other features or articles you have coming up? Are you doing any more football work at all? Okay. Very cool. Okay, so I know it's after 10 o'clock over there in Scotland, right? And are you in the Edinburgh area or are you somewhere else in the country? Okay. All right, very good. My ancestral home going way back, not that that matters, but generations ago. I'll tell you a little bit more about what's going on in Film Study Baltimore this week. We've got the offensive line article that will be out on probably Thursday this week. Know Your Foe is the next recording we'll be doing. We have a good guest from the Giants for that. Obviously, a challenge of a game. What do you think about that one, by the way, Gordon? Mm-hmm. Let me give you one more what if. I mean, this seems to be a good week. If you really don't trust Patrick Green in terms of zone responsibilities, do you trust him as a spy? All right. Well, thanks again. All the methodology stuff, very cool. We appreciate you coming on the show, and we'll talk to you next time on Film Study.